In this video, I want to talk to you about how important an extra $100 could be in paying down your debt. Yes, you could literally save thousands of dollars and years of becoming debt free, right? But too many people, I don't think, realize that it takes so little to have such a huge impact when paying down your debt. So let's just dive right into it. Here's the debt payment calculator, okay? This is actually available for you down in the description of this video if you're interested. And the reason why I'm making this video is I think people are too overwhelmed with their debt. They have these massive debt payments maybe it's just $400, $600, maybe it's $1,000 a month. And it already feels like a lot, right? But then when you look at the debt-free date in this calculator, which we're going to go over, it's basically going to show you how long it's going to take you to become debt free. It's not going to look pretty, most likely, right? Again, I just want to show you how adding an extra $100 could change everything for you, okay? It'll change your mental well-being. It'll change your wallet, right? Because we all know that debt is, yes, it's money, but it's also your mindset. It's, it impacts households, relationships, right? All this other stuff. There's a lot going on. So here's the debt payment calculator. And I've already input some fake information here. So quick tutorial, right? We're going to go through this. You enter your creditor type here. So I just put some generic things here. Feel free to add whatever you want to help you remember what it is. The current balance of the loan as of today, the interest rate for the loan, and the minimum payment due for each of the loans, right? And you'll see here this current balance, it totals up to $40,000 in debt. The minimum payment totals up to $350 per month. In case you're not aware, the minimum payment is the least amount of money that you have to pay, or you're going to get penalized, okay, for not making the minimum payments, and it gets more expensive if you're not making minimum payments. So at the very least, make the minimum payments, but I'm going to hopefully show you why even that's a terrible strategy, and we need to try to increase that a little more. So that's the quick breakdown of the top section here. We're going to scroll down to this section. And this section showing us how much we're paying towards our debt. So we're going to enter that in a second. And then the initial snowball. The snowball basically means how much extra money on top of our minimum payments are we putting towards our debt. And then that will be impactful later in the video. I'll show you that, right? So let's say, for example, you have $350 in minimum payments and you're just making $350. Now you'll see this is the calculator portion of the file here. And what it does is it kind of takes the above information. I'll see if I can get both things on here. It takes your creditor type, it takes the original balance, interest paid, and then it shows months, how many months it's going to take to pay it off, and then what that month is, just so you can see it visually, right? Now you'll see that there's some error messages here, and that's because this system is saying that the $40,000 that we have in debt, if we were to pay $350 of minimum payments, the calculator breaks after 30 years, okay? So 360 months. So this is basically saying that this is not enough money to pay off $40,000 in 30 years. If you put this in and you have $40,000, or if you have a number sort of similar to that and it's gonna take you 30 years, we gotta get a better plan. I did some playing around with this before the video, so I didn't waste your time. And the first number where the calculator has it work is $354, okay? So we're just gonna assume that this is the baseline. And again, I'm recording this video in October 2024, so let's still call it 30 years. It's a couple months short from that, but whatever. Now look at this. This is interesting. The interest that we're going to be paying on this, $85,000, okay, on $40,000 of debt. And I think this is where people forget about interest, right? Because they go around and they say, oh, like I have $40,000 in debt. You're forgetting about this huge behemoth of a thing down here too called interest. So technically for this $40,000, if you were to do this minimum payment strategy, you'd be paying off $125,000 in 30 years, okay? That's just nuts. To pay off 40, you basically have to pay double that in interest, right? Crazy. So interest is the biggest wealth killer for you, and it's the biggest wealth generator for the person that's receiving all that interest. Imagine someone just getting like passive income from you, right? Interest payments for 30 years, totaling $85,000. So here's where this power of 100 really comes in handy, right? So just for math's sake, let's just say that we're adding an extra $100. So we're going to do a $450. And now just for some context, this calculator calculates the debt avalanche method and the debt snowball method, okay? So right now we're on the debt avalanche method. So what this strategy is doing is it's ordering the loans in order from highest interest rate to lowest interest rate, okay? So you'll see when we entered this information, let me try to get both on this again. The credit card was actually the highest interest rate, and then it was the personal loan, and then it was the student loan, right? So they were already in order. I didn't mean to do that on purpose, but that's the order that the calculator does it. Now, if we were to switch this to the snowball method, which is the lowest loan amount first is the priority, and then you pay it from low to high, right? So let's see, there was a change here, and again, another small error. We put in a personal loan of 5,000, so that's the smallest, and then the student loan of 10,000, right? That's next, and then the credit card. And we're gonna play through both of these as we break down the video a little bit, and we can sort of see what's going on. But let's go back to the avalanche method, because the avalanche method, since you're paying off the highest interest rate first, is gonna be the most cost efficient for you. So for this example, we're gonna go back to here. And let's remember these numbers. If we're paying $350 a month, June 2054, and $85,000 of interest, right? So if we do $450, look at these numbers down here as they change, and I hit enter. Wow, okay? So it saves us, what is that? 17 years of being in debt. That's incredible. It saves us, gosh, what is that? $56,000 of interest. An extra $100, guys. Like, that's it. And we're gonna do another $100 in a second just to show you how even more powerful that would be. But we're on the avalanche method. So I mentioned the benefit of that is that we're gonna be paying off the highest interest rates first, so it's gonna be the most cost efficient one for you. But the reason why the other method, the debt snowball method, is pretty good is because the debt snowball method, you're paying off the smallest balances first, which means that you're going to pay off that smaller one quicker, and it's probably going to give you that mental boost, and you're going to like give you motivation and be able to continue on, right? Because look at this. I'll go through the other example in a second, and we're going to be saving more money doing it this way, but the first loan is being paid off in 126 months. Okay, so that's 10 years. So you have to keep paying this one and keep putting the extra money towards this one for 10 years. Okay. So let's shift this to the snowball method, and I'll show you what I mean. So let's remember the bottoms here. So the total interest with the avalanche method is $29,000. The debt-free date is August 2037. So pretty significant here with the snowball. So it's an extra $9,000 of interest and about 2 years longer than the avalanche method. But because our smallest loan was $5,000, the first one is getting paid off in 40 months, which is just over 3 years, okay? And that's at least, you can at least see the light of the end of the tunnel after that. So that's why I like recommending both of these, and I like to have both of these in the calculator so that you can play around with it, and then you pick the thing that you think is best, right? Obviously $9,000 in 2 years, that's pretty significant, okay? Normally I like to recommend the snowball method because of the, you know, the quick, shorter wins, and it is how my wife and I paid down $43,000 worth of debt in 13 months. But in this example, I think $9,000 is pretty nice. I'd rather have that towards, you know, another financial goal like my investing or my kids' financial future, whatever. So, but that's why we play around with this, right? I'm a nerd. I can play in this all day. This is good stuff. So let's switch back to the avalanche method because I want to add an extra $100, right? Let's get crazy. We'll add another $100 to this. Now, remember the old stats here. We had $29,000 of interest, August 2037, and it took 126 months to pay off the first one. Let's just see what happens. Okay, so we're losing another $9,000 of interest, so we're down to $18,000 of interest, and I think it cut off 4 years of being in debt, okay? Another significant milestone. And again, it's like 40 months are being shaved off of this, so that's like 3+ years. So the extra $100 paid huge dividends again, okay? So let's go back to the 350 real quick, 354. So you could either keep paying the minimums, right? And pay $85,000 of interest and have it take 30 years, or you could find $200 and it shaves off $60,000, $70,000. Interesting, right? And I know a lot of you out there are like, hey, I'm thinking I'm already putting as much as I can towards this. And maybe you're right, but at some point you have to figure out, like, if I put more money to this and the more aggressive that I can be with this, the more money that I can save in the future. It's just a fact, right? So if you think about why people talk about compounding interest so much in like investing, for example, and if you just start investing earlier, like your nest egg is going to build. It works the same way with debt, right? Because now you have sort of negative interest going against you when you have debt. So the faster that you can pay that off, the more money you can put to it, the angle is going to steepen like that. Instead of like the 30 years that we were looking at before, it's just going to take freaking forever. So let's look at what the 550 does with the snowball method. So again, the avalanche is having $18,000 in interest, October 2033, and 82 months to pay off. So we're going to switch the strategy here. So it adds an extra $6,000 of interest. It adds about a year in being debt free, but then look at this, right? 22 months as opposed to 82 to pay off the first one. that's pretty nice. Like you got 2 years and you're paying off the first one. Again, the interest is something that you would have to think about. Like, do I go with the strategy that is going to pay off the smaller ones faster? Do I go off the strategy where I'm going to save more money in the long run? That's up to you. That's what you think you can handle, okay? But that's why the extra $100 is so critical. I want you to try really hard to download the description in the link, enter your debt into here, play around with the two strategies, the snowball and the avalanche, okay? See where your numbers stack up right now, and then try to find an extra $100. Now you're saying, Chris, I already told you, I don't think I have an extra $100. Well, I'm linking to my budget template tutorial video right now, and this is gonna help you. There's a process called the 3-month look back. It's gonna help you find $100, I promise. Go check it out. I'll see you in the next one.